my last time putting gas in this thing. Pick up my Tesla tomorrow. That's it. Last one. Welcome to Life as Art, or welcome back if you've been following along with my EV shopping. I've got some other videos about other vehicles that I've considered, including the Tesla Model Y and the Mustang Mach-E. But for those of you who've been following, you know that I recently ordered a Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. But this video is a little different. This video is about why I canceled that order, and no, don't worry, still getting a Tesla, why I upgraded my order to the Tesla Model 3 long range. Yes, I was very convinced that the Standard Range Plus was enough for me, but then I became very convinced that I was wrong, and I'll tell you why in this video. But first, I will turn this way and ask you to please click like on this video and subscribe to my channel if you can spare a fingerprint. So my reasons for canceling my order really boil down to a few different categories. Convenience features, or what some people call phantom drain. Additional luxury, of course. Performance, meaning dual motor and all-wheel drive. And finally, battery degradation, or more importantly, battery size combined with battery degradation, and the amount of time that I expect to keep this vehicle. So let's dive into those. First, convenience features. Now, there are features that come with the Tesla that are definitely convenience features, but I view them as essential features for a Tesla. Important reasons why I would be getting a Tesla, and not features that I would be willing to just disable in order to save battery life. And that includes Sentry Mode, monitoring the inside and the outside of your vehicle all the time, even when you're away from it, and especially when you're away from home, maybe far away from home. Dog mode, or climate control in your vehicle when you're not in it. That's definitely something I want to be able to take advantage of, because I do have a dog, and also there are times when we're away from home and I want to be able to keep the inside of my vehicle from becoming roasting, like so that when I come out from the gym it's not ridiculously hot. I mean, the vehicle doesn't have ventilated seats, so that's one of the features that I was really looking forward to. Another feature that I don't plan on using currently, but I might in the future when full self-driving becomes something that I would be willing to pay for, is the ability for the vehicle to stand by and be ready to be summoned. In other words, if I plan on owning this vehicle for 5-8 years, my last vehicle I owned for 10 years, there are things that could come up that would require battery power that I don't currently need, but that I might use over that time. Do I want to limit myself? Maybe not. Now, of course, there are luxury features that come with the long range that make it very enticing. The superior sound system that it comes with is definitely of interest to me. And then there are other features like the heated back seats, the heated steering wheel, and floor mats, although I do plan on replacing the floor mats with all-weather mats pretty much immediately. So if you're looking for a set of original Tesla carpet mats, hit me up. I might be willing to part with them. But the biggie, and the real reason why the long-range version is so much more expensive, is the battery size and the performance that you get from jumping up to the long range from the standard range. It's not just the added range. You get additional horsepower, additional speed, and you get all-wheel drive. And that one is a big one, which I didn't think it was that big of a deal living here in Central Texas, but I learned a little something in February of this year, February of 2021, when we had that massive ice and snowstorm come through here And this area is not prepared to handle that sort of thing. Being able to get to the grocery store in my wife's all-wheel drive vehicle without risking sliding off the road and into a ditch like so many other vehicles that I saw while I was on my way to the grocery store, that is definitely a convenience that I would like to have. It's also when we have these massive rainstorms in this area and the oil on the road floats around and makes the surface very slippery. I've witnessed personally vehicles hydroplaning right off of the road. And I know modern traction control systems are pretty good even on two-wheel drive vehicles. But all-wheel drive, with the added performance and the longer range, well, it all starts to add up. But let's talk about that battery degradation thing, because really that's what got me thinking and ultimately tipped the scales in favor of me getting the long-range version. Elon Musk himself has stated that approximately 250 miles is the minimum acceptable range for an electric vehicle, at least one that Tesla is going to produce. And in general, I agree, which is why I considered the Standard Range Plus as my vehicle and actually placed an order for one. But let's think about it in terms of long-term ownership. Over the life of the vehicle, let's say that you keep the car, like I plan to, for approximately 5 to 8 years. I mean, like I said, I did keep my last vehicle for 10 years. This one that I'm in right now, we've had for 8.5 years. So it's not unreasonable to target somewhere around 8 years as the amount of time that I would keep a vehicle, especially one that I paid as much for as I'm paying for this Tesla. Now, will the vehicle always have the same amount of range as it has when you buy it? No. I think everybody understands that there's a certain amount of battery degradation that happens over the life of an EV. Tesla recently published a graph that appeared to indicate that battery degradation can be expected to be somewhere around 90% of original battery capacity, so 10% degradation, over approximately 200,000 miles of ownership. But that's a line fitted to a scatter plot, so some people's results will vary. Some people will have less battery degradation, others will have more. It may depend on the battery chemistry. And I've seen in Facebook group posts for Model 3 owners that some Model 3 owners with the long-range version have reported that after about 70,000 miles, they're seeing approximately 90% of original battery capacity. So clearly, the term "your mileage may vary" definitely does apply here. So let's look at that 90% rule and think about how much battery life do I want to have left when I'm looking at selling this vehicle to someone else, and of course using that vehicle during that second half of my ownership period, say the 4 to 8 year period of ownership. Now, the regular Standard Range Plus, in other words, the original Standard Range Plus sold here in the United States, has an advertised range of 263 miles. But for this purpose, I'm going to be using the LFP battery version, which is the one that I had on order, which has a rated range, according to Tesla's website, of 252 miles. Taking 90% of that gives us approximately 227 miles. Now, that's EPA rated full battery capacity after that 10% battery loss. So if we think about 227 miles, there are other channels, shout out to Sarah J. Awesome in Houston, who have posted that their actual range in a Standard Range Plus with real usage, in other words, freeway speeds, air conditioning, and using their convenience features such as Sentry Mode and climate control in the vehicle when they're not in the vehicle, that their real range is somewhere around 185 to 190 miles of total battery capacity. And if we allow for a 5% buffer, then we're looking at a range that really might not be as acceptable to you and started to feel uncomfortable to me. Now let's apply that same logic to the long-range version. The rated battery capacity, the rated range of the long-range version, according to Tesla's website, is 353 miles. And applying that same 90% rule for the aged battery and the rated range during those later years of ownership, we end up with about 318 miles of EPA rated range. And then allowing for a 5% buffer, because you're not going to run your battery all the way into the ground, that puts you right around 300 miles. Okay, but that's 300 EPA miles. So if we look at actual performance, again, highway speeds, using the climate control, using the convenience features like Sentry Mode, you actually end up with approximately 250 miles of effective range during that aged period with the long-range battery. And that's interesting because if you recall at the start of this, I said that Elon Musk himself has said that any range below 250 miles is not acceptable for a Tesla vehicle. But it's not just about resale value. It's also about practicality. Now, I understand Tesla is building out their supercharger network, and eventually superchargers will be as ubiquitous as gas stations currently are. But I would like to remind everyone that frequent supercharging, and particularly supercharging up to 100% of battery capacity, further exacerbates battery degradation. So I feel comfortable with my analysis at the 5 to 8 year point of ownership with my Model 3 long range. I will still find it to have sufficient range, and I will feel comfortable being able to sell it to a private party when I'm ready to upgrade to a different vehicle. Now, as a reward for staying tuned all the way through this video, I'd like to tell you a hack, possibly, not exactly sure if it will work for everybody, but a hack that I discovered that worked for me in order to be able to get my Model 3 long range very quickly. In fact, equally as quickly as buying a standard range Model 3 from inventory. That one was to be delivered to me between September 19th to the 25th. Today is September 24th. Tomorrow, the 25th, I will take delivery of my Model 3 long range. But they told me I wouldn't get it till at least November. However, when I ordered my inventory Model 3, I was obviously in a hurry to get everything lined up so that I could get the vehicle as soon as possible. So, because I had a VIN, I was able to upload proof of insurance, which is required. In Texas, you must have a VIN on your insurance card, which you upload to your account section on Tesla's website. I also got all of my financing in order. So as far as Tesla was concerned, everything was ready to go. So when I switched my order, I think I cut in line because my Tesla salesperson warned me it's going to be at least November before you get your vehicle, possibly not until the end of the fourth quarter if you switch to the long range. I was willing to do it anyway. I had decided, because of the reasons that I described in this video, that the long range version was going to be better for me over the next approximately 8 years. So waiting another couple of months was not going to be that big of a deal. But hey, now I'm not going to have to wait another couple of months. I get my vehicle tomorrow. So I'm really excited to pick up my long range Model 3 and to make more great content for those of you who are still watching and my future subscribers as well. Thank you for watching to this point. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you can spare a fingerprint.